Okay, what we're making is a brandied peppercorn sauce. It's a great sauce for steaks. Does fairly well with chicken. Hearty sauce. This would be classic French steak au poivre. This would be the sauce they would serve with it, or also a base for a Diane sauce. The main ingredient are these pickled green peppercorns, and they're in brine, which gives them a little bit of salt and softens them up so you can actually eat them, so they're not hard like a regular peppercorn. So we're going to start with a little extra virgin olive oil just to kind of get a gauge for the heat on the pan. The base of the sauce is the green peppercorns and then a decent brandy. Brandy we're going to cook most of the alcohol out of, but brandy has such a great sweetness, being a fortified wine. It really has a nice round flavor, complements steak well. So that's what we're going to shoot for, is get all of our sweetness out of that. And then we're going to add a little bit of demi-glaze, and the demi-glaze is a reduction of a veal and a beef stock. The word demi means half, so basically veal and beef stock reduced down by half gives you demi-glaze, a little bit of red wine or port wine in there to fortify it, and you end up with demi-glaze. We'll start with our peppercorns. Turn the hood on real fast before I start going crazy. All right, now we're going to probably make a little bit of a fire here in just a minute. I'm going to add a decent amount of brandy because we're going to reduce it down by at least half. And fire. You want to let the alcohol burn off so it doesn't have that hot kind of bitter taste you're going to get from the raw alcohol. While that's reducing, we want that to come down at least by half. Get my burner up as high as it'll go. Yeah. Add some demi-glaze. This is really going to give the sauce body. Get that savory flavor, complement the steak. Let that cook down, and while that's working, we're going to start our next sauce, which will be a Beurre Blanc. Beurre Blanc meaning white butter, one of the classic French sauces. We use a lot of it at the Marble Room. Just adds complexity to dishes. We use it to finish a lot of our dishes with. People, they don't always know, what it is, but they know that it tastes smooth, or it tastes very savory and complex in flavors. And really, the key is just these classic French sauces that people have been using for years. We start with just some shallots. And then we have a little lemon thyme. Any herb will work, bay leaf. We use a lot of lemon thyme. I like what lemon, the lemon adds to it. We're going to use it with seafood, so it's going to be nice and a little bit of a scampy dish. So in we go with our shallots and our lemon thyme. And then a nice Chardonnay. Chardonnay or Sauvignon Blanc. I prefer French, just in that French wines have less fruit. They tend to be more terroir, of the earth, more mineral forward, a little more complex, not as fruity. And when you're making sauces out of it, you don't always want fruit with your fish or with whatever it is you're cooking. So the French wines seem to balance much, much better. Going to go right on the heat. Let's check on this one. Alright, this one's coming along nicely. As the bubbles get smaller, that means the sauce is getting thicker. When things first start to boil, the bubbles are real large. That means it's very thin, not very viscous. You can see by the small bubbles that the sauce is getting thicker. So we're going to add a little bit of Worcestershire. Who doesn't love that with their steak? Some Dijon mustard. Not a lot, just about a tablespoon or so. Mix that together. And we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream. What we're going for is a nice coffee with cream color here. Cafe au lait. I want to let that reduce again. Let those flavors start to marry. I'm going to do a taste test to see where we're at. Almost there. Need salt, but we're going to wait a little bit, just a little bit. Now, if the peppercorns are a little strong, we'll just add a little bit more of the other ingredients. I'm going to add a little more demi-glaze. And that'll balance it out. That reduce. See how our Beurre Blanc's doing? Not quite yet. Once again, we're going to let this wine reduce down. I'm also going to add just a little bit of champagne vinegar to it to add a little bit of tartness along with the sweet of the wine. And a pinch of fresh cracked black pepper. That's one of my favorite sauces with New York steak. What I would do is sear the steak in the pan, and then throw the steak in the oven, 5 minutes, pull it out, perfect medium rare, take it out, put it on my plate, and then in that same pan, in go the peppercorns, in go the brandy, nice big fire, and then you add all the other ingredients. And that pan's so hot at that point, the sauce is basically done in just a minute or so, and then you're ready to go, and you really only made, one dirty cooking dish. We can see once again the bubbles are small, which means the thickness is where we want it to be. Another good way to check that is if it coats the back of a spoon. That's the old classic French technique where you want it to coat the back of a spoon and not run. And you know your sauce is the right thickness. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. Kosher salt is what I like to use. The problem with iodized table salt is it's very potent. It's been refined, and it can be just too strong and hard to control the amount that you're adding. So when you use kosher salt, it's a little bit milder, the granules are a little bit bigger, seems to be a lot easier to control the amount of salt that you're putting in your dishes. Most chefs tend to use either sea salt or kosher salt. We're going to go into our Pyrex to hold this warm for us until we are ready for service. Smells good.